She's a fashion blogger, model, and entrepreneur.
She's amazing.
The latest tips on fashion, beauty, wellness, travel, and her lifestyle. And now, here's the founder and creator of Not Basic Blonde, Olasha.
Hi, Rob. So glad to have you on the Not Basic Blonde podcast. Welcome. How are you today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being my guest.
It's always a pleasure.
And let's dive in. So you have an incredible career and incredible background. So tell us how a 25-year-old struggling artist with 50K debt became a multimillionaire by turning 31.
Well, it's a long story, but keeping it short, I got into real estate, and I always wanted to be an entrepreneur from age 6 because my dad raised me in pubs and bars where he used to own them, and I used to live in with him, and he'd always have a load of money in his pocket, and he'd get me working from age 6, emptying the pool tables, the slot machines, and even taking money off the customers. I could count with money at a very young age. But then, you know, you go to school and you do your exams and you're a good boy, and you go get a degree at university and you go to college and you're a good boy, and then you go out and get drunk a lot and you're a bad boy. And then all of a sudden you're 25 and you're in debt, loads of money, and it can kind of creep up on you, and you're still living with your mum and your dad in your pub, and you're just all of a sudden your life's caught up with you. So that was how it kind of had gone for me. But then my dad had this huge nervous breakdown in his pub in front of all of his customers. He was sectioned and beaten up by the police. He was diagnosed with bipolar, and it was awful for us. And I felt a lot of shame that my dad had put me through school and university and paid for my first car and my first house. But, you know, this entrepreneurial flair that he had, that he almost raised in me from a young age, I'd lost for like nearly 20 years. And to see my dad getting beaten up outside of his pub with all of his customers watching, and my mum and my sister crying their eyes out watching it happen, was quite shameful for me. So I spent a couple of weeks hating myself, and then thought Dad had always told me to get into property, and so had a few people I knew. I was doing a bit of art, and a gallery owner of mine said you should get into property, and everyone was saying you should get into property in 2005. So I went down to this networking event. I hated property. Well, I hated rich people, let's be honest. It's funny, you become what you hate. And anyone who wore a suit was a yuppie, and I liked Rage Against the Machine, and I was an arty type, and what am I doing here? I hate this place. But the last person I met at the bar was my business partner of today. We've been business partners 16 years. It's the 15th anniversary of our company, Progressive Property. And I got myself out of debt in year 1, sourcing properties for other people in a job. Made my first 100 grand, bought my first nice sports car, cash. Then bought 20 properties year 1, 30 year 2, and 50 year 3 with my Mark's money and other people's money and family and partner and private finance money. And then it all sort of grew from there. And yeah, I became a millionaire by age 31, a decamillionaire by age 35. I'm 43 now. I've written 18 books on business and real estate, and done a few 100 million in revenue. We've just completed a 99 apartment, 159 tenant block, which made me net profit of £14,377,000 in November 21. And I still pinch myself because I still feel like that little kid in my dad's pub. I don't think I've quite grown up or fully got used to it yet, but that's the short version of the story.
Wow, that's very impressive. And your dad went through a lot. That's crazy what he has to go through, but also like you being at such a young age and learning so many life lessons already. It's like fascinating, probably put impact on you. That's who you are now today. And I guess it helped you to become who you are today.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, everyone else wanted to go to school. Well, everyone probably didn't want to go to school. They wanted to play, but I didn't want to go to school. I wanted to work when I was 6 and 8 and 9 years old. Every weekend I worked. I loved earning money. That's what I wanted to do. And, you know, that's probably why I work quite a lot, but I don't really see it as work. You know, doing stuff like this is fun. I was just doing a multi-stream live to about 5 social media channels just before we went on. And I get to talk about things I love, and I feel very grateful for that. So, you know, that's probably from when I was raised as a kid. It like going to work for me would feel like going to school, but running my own companies and being an entrepreneur feels like play.
I totally feel you on this one. And it also feels to me that when I was well, my parents always told me, well, you can do whatever you want, become an entrepreneur, whatever, but you need to have education as well, because you just need to have to check that box. And I feel like, I don't know. I mean, if I really learned anything in school that I'm doing now, I don't think so. I feel like all the jobs that I've had before I've done, I became an entrepreneur, and what I'm doing now, those jobs helped me. But actually learning something in school that is you can apply in life, that was kind of pointless.
I agree. I mean, they taught me geography and French when I was 15. Like, why would you learn geography in French? You can't do anything with that when you're an adult. But they didn't teach me money management or managing my emotions, or, you know, they didn't teach me all the proper life skills and financial education and budgeting and money management and, you know, all this stuff. So yeah, I am completely with you. I think the school system is great if you want to be a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, an accountant. You know, if you want to be a specific thing in almost in public service, not quite, but almost. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, start your own business, be an employer, be a creator, the current school system is not built for that.
Exactly. And usually kids or just adults, like, you know, in universities or kids in school who are trying to stand out and being very like unique, they get bullied because they're not like everyone else.
Yeah, well, I was the fattest kid in my year, age 11 to 13. So I know what it's like to feel like that. But actually, weirdly now, I like not being like everybody else. And I like standing out a bit. And if they're going to ridicule me for that, I'd rather be ridiculed for being different than be ridiculed for being exactly the same as everyone else.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you, because my movement and kind of my brand is all about be unique, never basic. That's why it's like what Not Basic Blonde stands for. So I always, you know, say that, and I always think that it's be yourself, embrace your individuality, and never basic.
Love that. And by the way, you're smashing it. So well done on all your success. Your Instagram is massive.
Thank you. It's a lot of hard work, like daily work, and a lot of like, you know, dedication and being persistent. So it's so many aspects.
Amen.
Thank you. What are the basic rules to create vast amounts of wealth?
Rule number one, you got to know what money is and isn't. Rule number two, you got to learn the rules of money. Rule number three, you've got to manage your emotions around money. And then rule number four is you've got to create value and fair exchange. And then rule number five, you've got to scale that to the masses. So let me just quickly go through those, and hopefully I remember the rules I just said. So rule number one, you've got to know what money is and isn't. Money is a universal exchange of value. It's a unit of account. It's a measure of worth and store of value. It's a really good store of energy. That's what it is. It's not greed. It's not power. It's not the root of all evil. These are just human emotions projected onto money. And I'm going to give you a quick example here. Imagine a hammer. You can use a hammer to hammer a nail. You can use a hammer to pull out a nail. You could use a hammer to smash in someone's skull. Now, let's say someone took a hammer and smashed in someone's skull. You wouldn't try the hammer for murder. You wouldn't have the judge and the jury ruling that the hammer get life in prison. That would be ridiculous, because the hammer is just a tool. Well, money is just a tool. So why do we say that money is the root of all evil? How can a tool be the root of all evil? It can't. It's not conscious. It doesn't have emotions or morals. It's a universal exchange of value. It's a unit of account. It's a measure and store of worth. It's a store of good energy. It's a hedge against an uncertain future. That's what money is. Because the reason a lot of people don't make money is because they don't know what it is. And they put all their own fears and doubts and shames and emotions onto money, and they judge other people around money. So then once you understand what money is and isn't, and you realize it's just a tool and it's like a hammer and it can be used for good or bad, it's how you use it, then you've got to learn how to use it. Now, a hammer's easy to use. You pick it up and you smack a nail, but money's a little bit more complicated. It has certain laws, like money flows from those who value it most to those who value it least. Money flows from the impatient to the patient. Money works best under fair exchange. And fair exchange is where you get fair value from what you buy from me, and you feel that, you know, you paid a fair price. And I get fair pay for what you bought from me, and I felt like I get paid a fair price. If you think what you paid is fair and I think what I got paid is fair, we're both happy. And that scales, because you're going to tell people I'm happy with Rob's product, and I'm going to find more people like you, and you're going to give me referrals, and I'm going to be grateful to serve you, and you're going to be grateful to buy from me. That's fair exchange. But unfair exchange is where you pay too much and you feel like, oh, I got ripped off by Rob, paid too much, didn't get the value. Or where you don't pay enough, or I give too much away because I'm scared. And, you know, I've got all this guilt around money. So, you know, don't worry, you can just have it for free, or you can have a discount or whatever. And I undercharge for my real worth. And then I start to resent you because you didn't pay enough. But it's not your fault, because you're only going to pay what I charge you. So it's my fault, because my self-worth is my net worth. And if my self-worth is low, my net worth will be low. So this is fundamentally important to understand fair exchange. Now, by the way, fair exchange is nothing to do with price. It's everything to do with value. So you could buy a £20 plastic digital watch, which could break in a month, and you could be really pissed off. I got ripped off for $20, shitty watch. Or you could pay £100,000 for a Patek Philippe, and you could love every minute of it. And it's such a beautiful thing. They both tell the time. One is $100,000, one is $20. And you can be pissed off at $20 feeling like you got ripped off. And you could be happy at $100,000 feeling like you got a bargain. So, you know, price and value are different. And so if you give value, you can increase price. Managing your emotions around money was one of them I mentioned. So generally speaking, volatile emotions will erode wealth. If you're elated, whoa, let's go party, let's celebrate, everything's great, don't worry, let's just spend the money, we don't need to save, everything is awesome. And then you're like, oh shit. You know, and addictions are where you're elated and, you know, you spend all your money when you're addicted. But then also depression. Oh, I hate myself. I hate life. I'm not going to give anyone any money. I hate the world. I'm going to hoard it all. I don't want to give any value. I hate my boss. I'm going to work minimum amount I can. So if volatile emotions, extreme, high or low, erode wealth. So you need to have a neutral, balanced perspective. You need to have, you know, when you're wanting to make money and budgeting and financial decisions, pricing and sales and marketing and planning, you need to be neutral, be holistic to see, you know, both upsides and downsides of any, you know, financial strategy that you have. So there's a few fundamental laws and rules of money and making it and keeping it and growing it.
I love it. And of course, you said money is a tool. I know so many people have bad emotions around money and having like bad perspective. Like money is root of evil, like you said, and that's why so many have unsuccessful relationship with money, and it's kind of stopping you from getting wealthy, because when you have to, you have to heal the relationship with money to become wealthy. And my always number one saying is always, I keep repeating it, like the self-worth equals net worth. And, you know, so many people try to increase their net worth, but they have a lot of work to do. Internal work to do with their self-worth. So it's kind of like depending on each other. They both go hand in hand.
100% they do. If you don't value yourself, why should anyone else? And most people forget that they've lived a life. Like, even if I was a rubbish entrepreneur and I couldn't sell and I couldn't do any marketing and blah, 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 I've still lived 43 years and I've still seen things. And I've still got a life of experience that has worth and value. I just have to honor that in myself and find out where those high value and high experience areas are of my life, and then create a business around it. So I look around my room here, I'm in my home studio, and I can see a load of vinyl. I know a lot about vinyl because I'm passionate about vinyl. So I could create a subscription site or build a community around vinyl collecting and buy, sell, exchange. And, you know, assessing sound quality of certain presses, etc. I could do that. Why couldn't I do that? So yeah, people don't realize that they repel money when they don't value themselves. Because here's the thing, if you don't value yourself, you're not going to accept being paid. But the more you value yourself, the more you'll charge. And everyone has this like thermostat. So I don't know if I should say this publicly, but I suppose if someone requested me to speak, I would say that. So I can probably say it. But my keynote speaking fee is $25,000, £20,000. And I won't do it for any less because I know I'm worth that. Someone's been trying to get me for free. I'm like, no, I don't do it. I don't do it for free because I'm worth 20,000. But I'm not charging 100,000. So that means I feel like I'm worth 20,000 for a 60-minute speech, but I don't yet feel like I'm worth the 100,000. Otherwise, I'd charge 100,000. But I'm definitely not worth 1,000. So I should probably compare myself to speakers that get paid 100,000 and increase my own self-worth in the area of value of speaking. Now, I know I'm a better speaker than some people that get paid 100 grand, but some people that get paid 100 grand to speak are famous, and I'm not famous. So, but it's an interesting thing to go inside. But I wrote a book called I'm Worth More. And I think we're all worth more than we give ourselves credit for sure.
So true. I know what you mean as far as like you explaining about fees and speaking. I mean, I get so many brands reaching out to me and asking like ridiculous prices. I mean, but like, some people don't even know and don't even see like how, I mean, you have to see who are you asking and what are you asking. I mean, like you have to like be reasonable too, as far as like, some people are asking impossible things and they just want it. They underevaluate someone's work and not even, like asking ridiculous prices as far as like ridiculously low prices for someone that is very experienced.
Yeah, and it's up to us to hold our value. Because if you don't value yourself, you'll always drop your price because you don't want to let people down or you don't want to miss an opportunity. But the problem is with price, if you give yourself, like in the past, I've given people discounts. Why? Because I want to be nice. 2, maybe because I've been a bit weak. And what always happens when you give someone a discount, they go and tell everyone. And then everyone wants a discount, and then you've just dropped your own fee. So I refuse to do it. I'd rather have less gigs at high money, knowing that I've got integrity. Because it's like if you paid me 10 grand and someone else paid me 10 to 20 grand, that's not fair on you. So actually having a price and owning it and believing in yourself and working on your craft as well. I've been doing public speaking a long time. I got the world record for the longest public speech. I've been public speaking 15 years. So, I haven't just made this number up, but for sure, you've got to be consistent because otherwise it's unfair on everybody else. And then the market doesn't respect your value. Like if you can always get the clothes in the sale, you just wait for the sale and you never buy the clothes for full price. That's why Rolex don't discount their watches.
Exactly, Chanel bags too, and
yeah,
some brands
do
sale, but those never. They even raise prices every year.
Yeah,
and
the
huge demand, like that everyone wants it, and they don't have enough supply.
yeah, supply and demand. So when you make yourself in demand and you don't commoditize yourself too much, then your price will go up. That's why in lockdown, prices of everything went up and it surprised a lot of people. Real estate prices went wild. Watch prices went wild. It's because of undersupply, because obviously the lockdowns meant there was no production. So supply and demand's a big thing. Like my friend was Michael Jackson's bodyguard for 10 years. And Michael Jackson, let's be honest, was the master of self-promotion. And basically what he'd do was he'd always, wherever he was, he'd always tip off all the media. And, apparently his like white socks and his pulled up trousers and his one glove, people would ask him, why do you wear one glove? And he would say, so that you ask me why I wear one glove.
Exactly.
So we do these things just for attention. But then when he realized that maybe, everyone was knowing him and he was too common, he'd go into hiding and he wouldn't do any media for months. And he'd let that demand for Michael Jackson come back again and build up again. So it's that balance between being out there and taking opportunities, but also creating demand for yourself as well.
I agree. You've interviewed and interacted with so many billionaires. What sets them apart from others? What are their unique traits?
Curiosity, definitely. So I've interviewed 16 billionaires for my Disruptors podcast, and I'm friends with a few billionaires, and learned a lot from standing on the shoulders of the giants and modeling the traits of the greats. So curiosity is one. They desire to serve vast numbers of people. They are intense problem solvers. They have a high threshold for dealing with pressure and stress. They have vast distribution channels of, millions of customers or followers. There's about 22 different commonalities of billionaires I found. There's 5 for you.
Wow, those are impressive. Especially, I can totally relate to curiosity because you want to learn new things all the time. Like, I love to learn and I keep learning, and I'm just like always hungry for new knowledge, for new information. And I can totally relate to, like, you saying connections, and of course, what else? I'm sorry. Which one else?
That's all right.
Another
Distribution, leverage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Serving vast numbers of people.
Yes. So all of these are, of course, incredible. Also, I know you mentioned on your latest Instagram post that men are not wallets. Can you please tell us more? Because I know so many ladies would love to hear that.
Are you going to get me into trouble here now?
I mean, like, men are like bank accounts. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Do you want to finish that?
No, I would like to hear from you. Your opinion on this.
It was a joke. So,
oh.
I often get myself in a little bit of trouble when I talk about men and women. So, yeah, I'll let everyone go on my Instagram and find out what we're talking about. But it was a joke.
Okay. And what is more important, time or money?
I would say that time is the most valuable and precious commodity we have. You can't get time back if you lose it or waste it, but you can get money back if you lose it or you waste it. So you always have another go to get money back. But time once gone is gone. So the more precious, valuable commodity is time. However, money can, if you turn a passion into a profession and you pursue a meaningful cause and you create an enterprise that's valuable to people and you enjoy your work, then you can use money to free time, because you can hire staff so you don't have to do the admin. You can travel across the world quickly. You can make your life easier, and you can do things faster and with less friction with more money. And if you don't earn well, you'll have to spend a lot of your money. Sorry, if you don't earn well, you'll have to spend a lot of your time to try to earn money. And what broke people are doing is giving away all their time to try and earn money. And what rich people are doing is giving away all their money to try and buy back time. So it's a bit of a paradox. So I'd say time is the most important and precious commodity, but money can be a gift or a curse relating to time, depending on how well you master money.
Very interesting. I know there's like, they also like depend on each other, and of course, like you explained, they buy time to make money, and you know, some people miss that fact and they just wasting all this time to chasing money. It never happens for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what is, oh, hold on a second. How do you find time to write all these amazing best-selling books, and what is your secret about time management?
I actually wrote at least 2 books on time management. One's called Start Now, Get Perfect Later, and one's called Routine Equals Results. So, yeah, I've written books on this subject. So how do I write so many books? Number one is I've got an active brain. It's always thinking. It's difficult for me to switch it off. So writing is a form of catharsis and therapy and the creative expression of what's going on in my somewhat crazy, wired brain. So I guess naturally, it's almost like a therapy, you could say, for me. Definitely cheaper than therapy. Just like podcasting is and public speaking, etc. So I'm naturally of the person that would express themselves through content and writing and letting out everything that's in my head. I also think the more you learn, the more you write, or the more you learn, the more you teach, because the more you put in your mind, the more you can express out. And like you, I love to learn. I've read over 3,000 books or audiobooks or podcasts I've listened to, maybe more. The next thing is I want to help people, and I want to figure things out, and I want to make people's lives easier, and I want to leave something behind. I want my life to have mattered and live on a little bit beyond me. I don't have to be known for 1,000,000 years, but you know, maybe 100 years. And Think and Grow Rich, that book's nearly 100 years old. And so a useful book that helps people is a good legacy to leave. And also it's a good way to reach people. You know, so many hundreds of thousands of people across the world have read my books and I've never met them. So how do I write so many books is, I wrote a book called Routine Equals Results. And in that book, it talks about compartmentalizing your time. And I basically ring fence 2 hours a day when I'm writing a book to write a book, or I go away somewhere really nice and expensive on purpose. And I take 10 days and I get the whole book done in 10 days. And the more expensive it is, the more accountability there is to get the book written. Because if I went to some crappy 2-star local, you know, mobile home for a holiday, not knocking that, but if I did that, I'd be like, oh, well, it only cost me a couple £100, it doesn't really matter. Whereas if I went to Sandy Lane in Barbados and stayed in a 6-star, if I don't write this book, I've wasted 20 grand. So occasionally I'll go and do a really fancy holiday and it will just commit me to writing the book. And other times I just write 1 to 2 hours a day. And when you write 1 to 2 hours a day, in 2 or 3 years, you could have written 2 or 3 books. I think if it's important, you'll make time. And if it's not, you'll make an excuse. And content creation for me is very important. You know, I was an overweight kid when I was young. And, you know, what happened with my dad, and I would be a people pleaser and a repressor of emotions. And it's important for me now to express my emotions so that I stay of good mental health and well-being. And repression for me is bad. And I've done it much of my life, and it doesn't end well for me, because it ends up getting expressed in the wrong ways. So continual expression through podcasts and audiobooks and live streams and collabs, books and seminars and public speaking and all of that. It's a way for me to express myself and turn it into an asset that's valuable to people.
That's incredible. And I can totally relate to, you said the podcasting helps you, kind of inspires you. It helped me actually to get through pandemic, because when my podcast was like super successful, got super successful during pandemic because everyone was at home and everyone, wanted to record, everyone was listening. So it actually helped me when everyone was complaining that they have nothing to do. They're so bored. I was like, I don't have time for anything. Like I was so busy, slammed with everything. And actually, like, I love how you said it. And I love the book, the one you said, start now, get perfect later. I've usually procrastinated so much because I was a perfectionist and I wouldn't start anything till I actually had everything perfectly done, perfectly ready to go. But like then you just lose so much time. And then I learned like I will just start and whatever happens, I will learn in the process and I will just keep going. And of course, you learn in the process anyway. Even if you start perfect, you still have a lot to learn when you start something.
Amen. You can only get good at something when you start it. And the paradox is everyone's looking to be perfect before they start, so they never start. And nothing is meant to be easy at the start, because if it was, then we'd just be good at everything automatically. So, being less of a perfectionist and more of an imaginer, creative and playful, and not taking yourself too seriously and just trying things and enjoying the variety. I think that's a great attitude for life. We're all too worried about what everyone would think about us if we try something. Oh, who fucking cares?
Exactly. That's what my philosophy always now. And what is your best advice? Like, what's the best path to success?
The best path to success is to find the thing that you're meant to do that makes you feel somewhat fulfilled, that you mostly enjoy, and that can be useful to as many people as possible, or a few people, but really useful to them. So success, of course, it's individual definitions, but I think a common definition is, because if you made a load of money doing what you hate, that wouldn't be success. If you did what you love and you were always broke, that probably wouldn't be success. If you helped everyone else, but you were a complete wreck yourself, that wouldn't be a success. And if you were so selfishly self-obsessed and you were all right, but everyone else wasn't, that wouldn't be a success. So success is actually a balance of those things. How can you love what you do and do what you love and serve other people equally? How can you make money and make a difference? I would say that's success. And we've all got our own thing. You could call it a calling. You could call it a mission. You could call it a vocation. But every single one of us has got a unique path that we can take where we can be the maximum useful that we can to as many people as possible on this planet. And if we figure out what that is and we live in pursuit of that, that's success.
Wow, that's wonderful. Like you just laid it out perfectly and it totally explains it. I totally agree with you too that it has to be a great balance. It can be just like completely wrecked in one area of your life and be successful in other. Like some guys, I don't really consider being successful if they're single and yes, they grew this huge career, but they don't have a family. But then and on the other hand, some guys have like 3 kids, a huge family, and they have this huge business and they're very successful. I mean, I feel like that is more successful than the other.
I think the thing is, you must be clear on your own definition, because a slippery path to unhappiness is where you're trying to live up to other people's definition of success. That's when it's going to be hard for you. So get clear on your own definition. And also, happiness is not success. There's a lot of people out there that think that being successful is just being happy. But happiness is a transient emotion. And it's one of thousands of transient emotions that we have. Happiness is not an outcome or a destination or an end journey. It's a transient emotion. It's feedback of our environment. It's a reward for, you know, something that our brain perceives we did well, that moved us more towards safety and more away from threat. But too many people think that success is happiness and happiness is success. Not true.
Absolutely. And I love how you said that everyone has to have their own definition of success, not to live up to definition. Like, I mean, the other definition of success that others have.
Yeah, because I think grave unhappiness is living someone else's life and trying to convince yourself, or someone trying to convince you that that's the life you should live. That's never gonna fit well. It's never gonna end well. And you know, sometimes I catch myself and I look at someone and I think, damn, they got a better podcast guest than me, or damn, they did that and I'd have liked to have done that. And then I just have to remind myself, Rob, that's nice, but it's not you. So let it go, be happy for them, and focus on what you do, which is to help us. You know, my mission is to help as many people on this planet start and scale their business and get better financial knowledge.
I remind
That's what
myself.
I do.
Yeah, I remind myself not to compare myself to others because I have different paths. And I have different talents, so
Yeah.
it's different.
Oh, that comparison curse, if you think about it, it is one of the biggest curses, because, like, imagine you'd had a bad day. Why? Because you're comparing yourself to someone on social media who's pouting and look beautiful and just said they've had an amazing day. But if you'd been in a concentration camp for 20 years and you got freed yesterday and we were talking today, you would be so happy. You would smell the air. If it was cold, you would say it's beautiful to be cold. You know, if you were stuck in a little room doing a podcast with me, but it's so nice to be stuck in this podcast little room. So nice to be talking to this British guy and, you know, blah, blah. And you'd be so grateful because you're comparing it to an awful situation. So comparing yourself to others is a mild version of that, whereby you're robbing yourself of your own gratitude and presence and happiness because you're comparing yourself to someone else's life. So don't do that. I try and remind myself every day I haven't got cancer, and my wife and my children are with me and alive, and you know, my daughter runs in most days and comes and gives me a big hug, and I hug her and I smell her, and she's 7, and I'm like, oh, I'm so grateful to have you, and I didn't know what I'd do if you weren't here. So I think a lot of our pain comes comparing ourselves to fantasies, or ideologies, or our stress is because we expected things to be easier or better, or we expected to be bigger. And of course, this is quite a pandemic on social media because everyone's, you know, making themselves look different through cosmetics and filters. And, you know, I think that can be quite dangerous in some respects. I totally respect anyone's desire, opinion, or whatever to do whatever they want with their body and their face. But I think beauty is not in a filter. I think beauty is in someone's natural face, how they were born, their little wrinkles and dimples and, you know, blemishes. I personally think that there's beauty in that than, you know, filtered and make-upped and injected and cosmetics, because I think everyone's beautiful and you don't need to change who you are because of what you think someone else might like the look of. I've never had Botox. You can see, look at that. There's some wrinkles there going on. And I'm 43 and, you know, I've got a little bit of redness in my face. And there's got a bit of a grey patch you can see there. And I've learned to love that about me instead of wanting to be 25 again. And that's I just think that should be talked about a little bit more.
I love it. Couldn't agree more. And where can our listeners find you? Your social handles, all your information?
So my username's at Rob Moore or at Rob Moore Progressive, at Rob Moore Progressive or at Rob Moore. I'm on every single social media channel except OnlyFans. That's not happened yet, but never say never. And then my podcast is called Disruptors. And probably the book you'd want to start on of mine would be Money.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rob, for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for all the information. So glad to have you as my guest. Thank you.
I've loved this. I love what you're doing. You're killing it on Instagram. You know, great work on, you know, how you're making your little dent in the universe. And thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you so much.